Hey everyone, this is Michelle with Designs by JuJu, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to use heat transfer vinyl with your embroidery projects. So heat transfer vinyl is a type of material that is applied with heat, and it's common in, if you have like a die cutting machine, an electronic die cutting machine, you've maybe used it or seen people use it for like t-shirts or things like that, and you can get it at most crafting retailers. I have a variety of colors and finishes, but today I'm going to be using this fun hot coral color. It's very shiny and pretty, but like you can see here, I have a pink and a red, and I also have silver and gold and a whole range of colors. But it's commonly used for projects like that, but recently it started to make its way into embroidery projects. And for today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can do that. It may be easier than you were thinking, and how it can really add some sparkle and shine to those projects. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to be using the Designs by JuJu font Simply Plaid, and I am going to make a letter J, a 4-inch letter J. So I already have my hoop ready here, and this is just my 4x4 hoop. I just have some scrap cotton just for my sample and a piece of cutaway stabilizer just for my example. Obviously you would want to choose a stabilizer that's appropriate for the project that you're going to be using, but like I said, for my example here, I just have some cotton and some stabilizer. So I'm going to go ahead and load my hoop onto my machine, and I have already cut a piece of my heat transfer vinyl. And what you're going to do, the first thing you need to do to prepare your materials here is you need to remove this clear plastic film that's on the top. So if you were using this with a die cutting machine, you would keep this on because that's how it cuts it. But for embroidery, you don't need that. So we're going to go ahead and remove this clear plastic, and then you will see you have this sheet of heat transfer vinyl, and yours may look a little different depending on the brand that you have, but this is what the basis of it is. You remove that thin clear sheet, and then you have a piece of heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to lay mine down since I am using it as a base for my letter J, and you will probably want to turn the speed down on your machine, especially if this is the first time that you've ever used heat transfer vinyl in a project, just so you can make sure that your machine handles it well. You don't want to accidentally clog up your machine or anything weird like that. So definitely for the first time, slow down your machine. I turn mine down to the lowest just so I can watch it. And you may also want to secure this with some tape or like some washi tape, some medical tape, something like that, just so that it doesn't move. I also love these little sewing tools to help keep it down and keep my fingers out of the stitch path. So you can choose what works best for you, but I'm going to go ahead and stitch the first stitch just so you can see what that looks like, and then we'll check back in just a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and start my machine and we'll check it out. I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, so the first color has just stitched, and I used a yellow thread, so you can see my yellow J is there. If you were using your heat transfer vinyl on a different project, say you were using it as a backdrop on like a mermaid tail or some kind of a sketch design, you would want to go ahead and remove this heat transfer vinyl before you did any more stitches. Like if you were going to stitch something over here, you don't want this behind those parts. Since I am just doing a letter J and that's it, I'm going to go ahead and leave this on here just for purposes of the video. But like I said, if you were using like a stitch file and you didn't want this behind maybe like the mermaid's head, but you only wanted it on the tail, you would want to remove it before you did your other stitches. So I'm going to go ahead, load this back up, change my thread color, and continue on with the next 2 stitch steps. So I'll see you in just a second. Okay, so my design has finished stitching now, so I'm going to go ahead and remove my hoop from my machine, and you can see it right here, and it's much more vibrant in person, but you can see that it did the 3 color stops. So I had the initial yellow, the green, and then the black outline. So like I said, if you were doing something like a sketch, design and you did not want that heat transfer vinyl behind all of your pieces, you could go ahead and remove it before the other steps. So once you're finished with your stitches, now it's time to go ahead and remove this heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to move you back just a little bit. Okay, so when you're ready to remove this, you don't want to tug on this too hard. It should remove relatively easily because as it's stitching, it is puncturing that heat transfer vinyl. It's almost like it's cutting it like a cutting machine would do. Your needle does. So it should remove fairly easy. You can see here, see it's just tearing away. If it does not remove easily, like I said, don't tug on it because if you tug, you risk unhooping your fabric and then your design can be ruined, especially if you're using this on something like a sketch design and you have lots of steps still to do. So that removed super easily. Here's my piece of heat transfer vinyl. You can either save this for another project or toss it. So once you have it removed, it's time to take this to your iron to heat it down. So I always use a piece of wax paper on top of my design when I iron. That just helps to protect my iron. You could also use like a pressing cloth, but something to protect your iron when you're using that high heat up against the heat transfer vinyl. And then you're finished. That's it. When you iron it, it really varies on the type of heat transfer vinyl that you have purchased. So make sure to read your package instructions for specific heating temperatures and times. And heat transfer vinyl comes in all kinds of textures, colors, patterns. So some of them will have different heat times and durations than others. This is a glitter one that I used, but there's also velvet. There's just traditional like matte or shiny. So make sure to read your package directions for your specific heat transfer vinyl that you purchased. I did want to go ahead and show you before I signed off here that another way you can use heat transfer vinyl is in applique projects. So on this shirt here that I made, I did go ahead and use heat transfer vinyl behind these letters here, the new checkered font. But if you want to use it for applique, I did right here on the paw print, and you can just see how shiny that heat transfer vinyl is. It's really awesome. So that's kind of the appeal of using it, is a lot of fabric doesn't have this much shimmer in it. So I am a total glitter lover, so I'm all about having this much shine on my projects. And so that's a fun way you can use it. You use it exactly the same as you would an applique fabric. So you do your first initial placement stitches, and then you place your heat transfer vinyl with the plastic removed right on top. You do your tack down stitch, and then again, you gently tear it away. This applique that I did here, I did have to use some scissors and some tweezers to remove some of the edges. This one had multiple stitches go around on the outside, so it tore away a lot easier than this one did. So that's what I'm saying. Don't tug on it, because on this project, I still had other things I needed to stitch. And if I had tugged too hard, I could have removed my shirt here from my hoop, and then I would have had a whole problem on my hands. So just use caution when you're tearing it away, but it's really fun on projects. And then I heated that down, and heat transfer vinyl washes and wears very great. So you don't have to worry about high heat temperatures or the dryer or anything. It's safe for all of those. So I hope you have enjoyed this little tutorial today, and I cannot wait to see what you make. If you are looking for some more ideas and inspiration, as well as a step-by-step tutorial of what I went through today, make sure to check out the Designs by JuJu blog. You can find all of this information and much more, and we cannot wait to see what you make. Thanks, guys.